All right, hello, welcome to Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DDO stream. I'm DDO's community manager, Cordovan. I've got some news for you this week. We've got a bunch of things going on. Hot fix that we did today, update 59 released this past week. We have a small game update for next week and potentially a larger one week after that or something like that. We're going to have to sort through our release schedule here in the coming days. We got new forums set to hit next week. Got some pretty hot bonuses happening inside of the game, and a bunch of other things as well. So I'll have the latest news for you today. I did want to just take a minute, though, at the start of the show to recognize that we lost someone inside of Standing Stone Games this week. Humble Friar passed away suddenly this week, and the news ended up hitting the DDO community pretty quickly. Based on Humble Friar's longtime involvement in the Twitch live streaming and content creator community. And it's been exceptionally sad and sudden and difficult news for us to handle here in the studio. So I did want to take a moment of silence for Humble Friar, who was with us for a little less than a year at Standing Stone Games, but had been a longtime supporter of both DDO and the DDO Twitch community. You know, in many ways, this past week has sucked a lot, frankly, between trying to get things out, running into issues with the build, and having this happen on top of it, and things like that. So it's been kind of a rough week, but we have a lot going on, and so we do have some things to share with you here today. First off, we have a patch set for next week. I'll have more information as we get closer to it. Something like next Wednesday, May 3rd. That'll also be the same downtime that we debut the new DDO forums, and I'll have more information about that in just a little bit. So far, I don't have much in the way of release notes for next week's patch, except for two of the big outstanding issues that we are still looking to squash that wasn't in today's game update. In particular, that would be Slayer quests in some landscapes not properly registering the defeat of enemies. So there are some certain landscapes, I could try to get you the full list, but ultimately certain rare Slayer quests are just not properly incrementing. So we'll be working on that next week. Additionally, an issue where random encounters, there's a certain subset of random encounters in the game that directly grant XP, and they're not properly completing either, and so we're working on that. Both of these things are ultimately Halo bugs from the game performance work that went out this week. That game performance work has to do with a lot of behind-the-scenes communication, and well, we tried to hit whack-a-mole or play whack-a-mole and hit everything. A couple of things fell through the cracks, and that would be these two. So we're working to get that out next Wednesday. That's really the main driver of the patch. We also have some incorrect dialogue getting fixed in diplomatic impunity, and a few other kind of text and polish things to get in there as well. And then we do have an update 51 patch 1, a formal patch that is scheduled for the near future within a couple of weeks here. And it's possible some of that may slip into the 0.0.2 build here. We'll see. I'll find out in the next couple of days what all is in next week's patch. But it's going to be a small patch, a hot fix, really, to correct a few issues that came up this week. The main driver of today's game update was twofold. We had an issue where the legendary Droaam chests were not properly awarding their named loot in all but one case. One of the chests was working fine. And then there was an issue with the 32-bit game client that we've been able to correct, as far as I can tell, fingers crossed. We've been able to correct that today so that you can use your 32-bit game client again. Now, eventually, everyone should try to switch over to the 64-bit if you can. Because it's not even the future. It's really the past here. But nonetheless, we have additional, 64-bit launcher and game client work happening. So at some point here, you're going to need to be prepared for your 64-bit future. But for now, you should be able to continue to use the 32-bit game client if you need to. I am going to put a link to the Update 59 release notes. I don't really need to go over them here, but I will put a link into the Twitch chat for those who want to take a look. Ultimately, I did want to mention, for those who aren't familiar, Update 59 is Legendary Droaam. That includes both the Deception and Attack on Stormreach adventure packs. Technically, Deception and Stormreach are the 3 free quests. They're not really an adventure pack because you can't buy it or anything. But the 2 quest chains, Deception and Stormreach and Attack on Stormreach, is now supporting the Legendary difficulty. Now, Diplomatic Impunity, Framework, and Eyes of Stone remain free, and Attack on Stormreach is an adventure pack that hopefully you got for free with this recent Dungeon Crawl coupon code or one of the others prior, but if you haven't, and you're not VIP, it is available in the DDO store as an adventure pack. And then we had a bunch of bug fixes and performance work in Update 59 as well. And you can take a look at the release notes over on DDO.com there. I'm going to next post a link into Twitch chat. 64-bit store cosmetic preview has not worked for years. Yes, but that's not a 64-bit issue. That's just a store preview issue. Store preview has not worked for some time. And I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, Dre. I don't think it works on the 32-bit client either, but I could be incorrect there. But I know that we've had issues with the direct cosmetic preview in the DDO store for quite some time. It's really trying to use an old system that doesn't work well anymore. Okay, anyway, we do have new forums happening next Wednesday. It's a chance it could get pushed out to May 10th instead of next Wednesday, based on any remaining work or things that may crop up in the coming days. But as of this past week, we've been able to associate internally in kind of a test environment. We've been able to associate our game accounts with forum accounts and register admins and such to the forums. So if everything keeps cooking along in the next 72-ish hours, we should be ready to go live with the forums on Wednesday. It'll be late morning Eastern time that it'll open up, and you'll be able to go in, associate your game account credentials to a new forum account, pick your forum name, and then forum it up. And hopefully you'll enjoy it quite a bit. But there's a lot of new features and a lot of new things to get excited about with the DDO forums, besides some basic functionality improvements as well. So the link I've put in Twitch chat, you can find it on the DDO forums if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, called It's Time for New Forums. And it'll give you a pretty good rundown about everything to expect with the new forums. The old forums are going read-only. You won't be able to log in. You will be able to see it long-term. You can just copy over your stuff as you want to over into the new forums. I do know we're going to, we're trying to basically take a 10-plus year old community on the existing forums because they haven't been updated since about 2013. And, they did get some updates, but not anything substantial like this. So basically about 10 years or so, and we're going to have to start fresh. So I do expect next week to be a little bit chaotic. There are going to be some grumpy gusses, and there's going to be some hopefully not too much trolling. But we'll deal with it as we need to, and we will get through it to the other side. We'll deal with name conflicts through the ticketing system. That's help.standingstonegames.com. Send any kind of comments, questions, concerns about the new forums to community forum support over through help.standingstonegames.com. Generally, that means it gets to me, and I'll directly respond to any concerns that you have. I don't know what we're going to do about titling yet. Everyone who wants their custom forum titles, currently custom forum titles are not working on the new forums. It's the really one of the only bits that I was hoping to get working in time for the new forums that is not currently. So, however, we have banner profile images and stuff now too. So we kind of have additional things. So maybe that'll be okay. But at the same time, I kind of want people to be able to do their own custom forum titles, but there's thousands, literally thousands of you between the two games that currently would need to get manually added. So just hang on for now. And in the near future, what I'll do is I'll probably create some kind of survey form or something like that. We can just be like, this is what I want. This is the forum name. This is what I want. This is the forum name. And I'll just start going through the list, me and perhaps a few others, and we'll just try to get it done around the margins whenever we can. If I can't get it just working so you can pick it yourself, which is ideally what I wanted to have going. But we'll see. We'll see. Currently, everything's looking pretty good. We like I said, there's a chance it might get pushed out to May 10th. We have one specific bug that has cropped up this week that we're working to address, which is that after you register on the forums right now in our test environment, it should redirect you to the forums logged in with your forum name. But right now it's not redirecting, and it's just sort of stopping. It's not doing anything. It like loads, it completes your registration, but then instead of redirecting you, it's just sort of sitting on the page without giving you any feedback. And so it's hard to know when you actually register. And that clearly is an issue, and so we're working on that right now. That if that can't get fixed in time, we'll have to have a conversation about whether we should push things out another week or something like that. Or if we come across anything in the next couple of, 3 or 4 business days, we'll have to put a halt on it as well. But right now, things are looking pretty good, so it should be ready for May 3rd for the new forums to go live. Any chance you'll bring back the old expansions? I've not heard of any plans to do that. I imagine you may be particularly thinking about Ravenloft. We have been considering what we can do in terms of offering the Bottle of Mist. I know that that's something that people in particular have an interest in, and as soon as I have something I can share with you about that, I will. But I don't have anything today to share. So there's, I think you mean not, a new Legendary Raid and Attack on Stormreach this year, correct? Yes, Legendary Droaam does not include a new raid. Will the links be changing at the same time? Gotta set up the build links ahead of time. So, all existing forum links will need to have the front of their URL changed. So right now it's forums.ddo.com/whatever. Once it's migrated and put into a read-only state, it'll be forums-old.ddo.com or locher.com too, if you care about that. And so any of the old links you have to your builds and that can still be linked to by changing forums to forums-old at the start of the URL. Now, maybe you specifically, Strim Tom, should consider posting up your build repository under the new class forums, and that you can just do by copying and pasting it over. You can also do things under the new system like have your own profile page, and in your profile page you could have it organized however you want to by builds and things, and then you can permalink to it that way. So that might be another option for you if you want to. You mean more about the other stuff too, rather than just the Bottle of Mist? Well, at the moment there is no real intention to bring back the Ravenloft X pack. It had been for sale for many years, to the point that it just didn't make sense to offer it anymore. And so it's been moved to the DO store and such for a long time now. But we know that there's a couple of specific things that people want. So never say never, but I'm not aware of any plans to do that in the short term. I'm actually surprised that Store Preview would work in the 32-bit client. I'm not saying it's not. I mean, clearly if you say it's working, sure, it's working. But as far as I'm aware, it's a DDO Store issue, not a client issue. So I guess I'd be surprised if the preview function was working. But doesn't it still generate income if people will buy it? Yes, but at some point no one's buying it. and then, you keep selling it for a long time. And then at some point, you're like, well, let's move the items to the store and do that sort of thing. Part of the bringing it into the Trove and what have you. So, is the ETA for Vecna Unleashed around October Halloween, and it comes with a raid? Question mark. Yes, it'll be before that. Now that Update 59 is out the door, the next thing you're going to be hearing about is Update 60. Update 60 is going to be the start of the hype cycle for Vecna Unleashed. We might see something like a pre-order around that time. We'll kind of see how it goes. But Vecna Unleashed will be the next big content update that we're working on now after this. And it won't take until Halloween to get it. Hardcore season, I do have a little bit of news. We're looking around mid-May for the start of the next hardcore season. I saw kind of our teaser image for it this past week, and it's looking pretty good. So I think sometime next week, if everything goes well and we can carve out the time for it, we're going to do a little bit of a teaser hype for Hardcore Season 8. And it'll probably just give you a sense of from when to when, and have a somewhat, perhaps slightly intriguing visual asset to go along with it that'll make you go, huh, what are they doing? Because we're doing a thing. Hardcore Season 8 should be pretty cool. And we'll have more information about it in the coming weeks, but not a lot of information because we're going to surprise you, I think, a little bit. We kind of want you to experience it live, as it were, rather than tell you all about it ahead of time. But we do have some teaser information, including a starts on through date that we're working to bring out in the next week or so. I'm not really ready to announce anything about the future of the 32-bit game client. Presumably at some point it'll get deprecated, but any kind of information along those lines would come at a future announcement rather than just sort of an off-the-cuff statement for me on a stream. Eventually it'll go the way of Windows 95 or 3.1, so... We'll have more information about the exact start time of Season 8 with the announcement that I just teased that we'll be teasing. So I can't really give you a start date today, but yes, we are looking currently something around mid-May for the start of Hardcore Season 8. All right. Gosh, did I cover all the news? All right, I got the release notes, the forums. Oh, I did want to mention real quick, I'm going to post a link to this in chat. If you happen to be on Sarlona or have a character there, the High Lords of Malkir on Sarlona are hosting their latest teaching raid. And it's going to be Mark of Death and Legendary Hound of Zoriat. That's going to happen this Saturday, tomorrow, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time, over on Sarlona in-game. So that's a bit of community news that I wanted to pass along. I also wanted to let you know that we have a new streamer on DDO Stream. This is Nomad Dog. DDO Hawaiian style with Nomad Dog. It's going to have its second show. The first show was last Sunday. Second show here this Sunday starting at 2 o'clock Eastern. So 2 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/DDO stream this Sunday. Let's show up and give Nomad Dog some love and support. Cool new streamer here on DDO stream. DDO Hawaiian style. Also want to mention real quick before I get in game that we have 5% Reaper XP happening through the weekend, but that it's not all. We also have a longer bonus happening. So through Sunday, 5% Reaper XP. On top of that, but through May 3rd, through Wednesday, we have 5% VIP XP and 25% Heroic and Epic XP. So 25% Heroic and Epic XP through May 3rd, 5% VIP XP through May 3rd, 5% Reaper XP through April 30th, aka Sunday. Also, real quick sales note, if you're looking for any plus 20 Hearts of Wood, now's your time to get them, because they're available to get in the DDO store plus 20 hearts of wood, you'll get a plus 5 with your purchase for free. That's through April 30th, and they're going away for a while. So if you want a plus 20 heart of wood, now's the time to jump on it. All right. I think I pretty much covered all the game news here. Yes, someone asked a question. Sev had mentioned a universal tree being in the works, hopefully for this year. Is that still on the table? As far as I'm aware, yes. Next up will be a new Destiny tree, and that'll be arriving with Vecna Unleashed, and you'll see more about that on Lamania and elsewhere here in the coming weeks. Yeah, it might be a few weeks yet, but a little while yet. But that'll be next, so. It's true that we've not had Tolero on for a little while. I would like to get Tolero on for a general producer-style Q&A. So far, everyone's just been real busy, and so we have not been able to actually make that happen. But it's in the works. Hopefully. All right. Yeah. So I'm in game. I'm on Wayfinder here, and I'm going to run some of the legendary Droaam stuff. So for those who maybe are like, I never ran these quests, you'll find them in Lord's March Plaza. It's right off the marketplace, kind of by the bank in the marketplace. You'll start by speaking with Naylene Lassett. And then you're going to have to go through the 12 to the back here to get started with diplomatic impunity. I already kind of squeed about this over on the Lotro side at noon here today. But I should mention that if the stream is looking better, not me, but if like the stream quality is looking a little better, it's because I got new internet. I've been running into problems, as you know, streaming successfully for quite a while now, and there's a bunch of reasons for it. My computer's pretty good. I mean, I bought it in 2018, so it's about 5 years old now. But that said, it's got like an i7 in it, 32 gigs of RAM. I've got a 1060, yeah, just a 1060, but I've got a 1060. It's a perfectly good video card for DDO and Lotro. And, some other bits and bobs too. So the computer's generally good enough, except for maybe that video card, which eventually is going to need an update. But I've not had a very good bit rate. Home internet is pretty good for me. It's in the range of, prior to this week, it was in the range of about 80 download speed, 80 megabits a second. And then upload speed, this isn't going to work. And then my upload speed, which has been the problem, has been only about 10. So with only 10 megabits a second upload speed, I have struggled. And so this week I finally did something about it, because I was trying to do the 16th, Lord of the Rings Online celebrated its 16th anniversary this past week, and I wanted to do some kind of anniversary live streaming with it, but I wasn't able to, because of my bitrate problems. I was getting less than 3 megabits a second download for a bitrate, and that's just not, ain't gonna cut it. So, I finally called the cable company and got faster internet. So today, as of yesterday, kind of late afternoon, I now have, it's technically a 500 megabyte download, 50 megabyte upload, but reality is it's a 500, pretty close, like 480 megabyte download and 22 megabyte upload. So I'm only getting about half the advertised upload speed, but I say that, except they don't really advertise it. I noticed in all their promo material, they're like, you get 500 megabytes down. And then silence on what your upload speed is supposed to be. But my upload speed is about 22 megabytes a second now. So that is enough to actually do a 1080p stream like this without having unnecessary stuttering and things like that. So that's good. It would be nice if we lived in a world where I could just sort of be like, yeah, SSG, buy me a fancy computer. But we don't live in that world. You know, it's worth mentioning that even streaming, right, is not technically a job duty here. It's something I choose to do as part of my community work, but it's not like in my job description. So someone was saying in chat that I'm under-geared. Yes, I mean, to be frank, just about every character you see on stream is going to be somewhat under-geared compared to someone who is dedicated and able to just play one character or something like that. All my characters are kind of in whatever state you want to call them. But on Wayfinder here in particular, that's part of why I'm playing this character, is I'm looking to not only hit level 32, but start working on my gear a little bit, and get this character in some slightly better shape. I like this character actually quite a bit, and they do okay. But you're right, my gear is not really where it needs to be. These quests take a pretty big leap, I've noticed, on the legendary side between legendary hard and legendary elite. I've noticed that legendary hard is pretty easy, and legendary elite was not particularly easy at all. This character has a Jack Jubers. This is the amazing character that got the Jack Jibbers on my first time ever running the quest on hard difficulty. Which, people love to hear that. They're like, you, what? You did not. It's not okay. You're not allowed to get it on your first time running the quest on hard. But I did. It happened live. On 3D printing, I haven't had time to mess with 3D printing really since I got it over Christmas. I ran a test run and learned a little bit about how to do it, because it is a skill. There's a lot more to think about than you think of, I guess. And then it's just been packed away. These past couple of weeks I've been working. I often, I get up in the morning, I take a shower, do everything I need to do. Get some breakfast, sit down at the computer, and I'm usually there till about, I work on a regular day until about 7-ish. Then I'm often online with my son, playing games and hanging out and things like that until about 9-ish. And then I usually get back to work and do anything that still needs to be done for the next day after that. And then I've got maybe, around 10:30, 11 or so, I've got time to myself to do whatever else needs to be done until the next morning. So I tend to be pretty busy in recent weeks. So I've not really had time to do it. But I'm hoping this summer to actually set up the 3D printer and mess around with it a bit more. Because one thing I learned is 3D printers, I should have known this, you're extruding essentially toxic plastic molding, right? I mean, plastic is not a natural resource. It's petroleum-based and not exactly good for you, particularly in its liquid state. So the stuff is stinky. You're not supposed to breathe it in. And even though I got the environmental kind that's partially made of soybeans, it's still pretty sketch. So I didn't really want to do it in a closed up room over the winter. So I'm going to be getting that going here in the coming weeks. Oops. I mean, we work in video games. You end up putting in, not every week's like this, not every day's like this, but, you know, anyone who says the word lazy devs, you can pretty much just immediately ignore any and all feedback they have to say, because they clearly don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, so Dre, you know, the discussion about the possibility of doing some kind of thing to signify the passing of Humble Friar is something that we too have been thinking about. I would expect to see something at some point. I don't know when or what, but something. Okay, let me go back this way. What? Well, I mean, Strimtom, I appreciate your not very nice feedback about my build, but also, you know, tough. Calling my self-healing stupid. My self-healing isn't stupid, it keeps me alive. It's true though, I have been doing kind of a Fury of the Wild Ravager thing that I'd like I like. This setup here, minus the PDK bit, is take care of this first. Oh, there's enough of them, I better take care of this. Go. Anyway, I'll have you know, my self-healing keeps me alive just fine, thank you. I am sure that we are not done utilizing the talents of Cindy Robinson. I have no idea when we might be able to work with Cindy again, but given that Cindy is kind of an all-time favorite amongst the DDO community, I'd say odds are pretty good that Cindy will be back at some point here in the future. Yeah, I should mention, I think I already mentioned this maybe even last week, but I am using, it's not a filament printer, it's a resin printer. Reason I want a resin printer is for D&D minis, because you can print your own. among other things too. But the D&D mini thing was certainly a big motivator. All right. Ah! Oh, crud. All right. Oh, no. Can I make it over to the shrine? I don't know if I can. Let's see. I really need my shrine. Oh, maybe I can. Yeah. I need my rage back. There we go. Ah! Alright. Alright. There's my chest. Oh, not Sturm Tom, Sturm fan? Okay, sorry, I couldn't... I have a problem with the bright red text on Twitch chat. I can't read the lettering very well. It kind of looks like Jenny, or Johnny, kind of like Johnny underscore H. You kind of look like Jenny Hart? I don't even know. I can't read. So the friends list, it's been so long since we switched to the 64-bit client. I don't really remember what the dealio is, but I remember there was a specific kind of thing to, because you have to re-export, right? Because you got the, oh no, that's the user preferences file. I guess I'm not sure what I'm talking about. I remember something about the friends list when you switch from 32 to 64-bit, but I don't remember what the issue is, nor how to resolve it. It should just work, though. You will have a new, if it's your first time using the 64-bit client, you will have a new user preferences INI file. And that'll sometimes confuse people a little bit. Or confuse the system, depending on how things run for you. So the character that you're seeing play on live is not a dev character. I don't have the ability to run any admin commands or do anything admin related on this account. But this character on this account as well. It's just a regular play account. I get some extra perks because, you know, I work for the company. So I'm not buying a lot of DDO points. But So I should probably mention, uh, I mentioned this in the on the Lotra side this week as well, but one of the things I'm doing right after the show here today is I'm getting in my car and I'm driving down to the Worcester Polytechnical Institute, WPI, if you're a BattleBots fan. They have a BattleBot. There's a team there from WPI that does BattleBot stuff. But I'm actually heading for their game design program. They're having their students essentially do the equivalent of a final project. And I'm going to be a guest judge for the program. They're kind of having what they call their WPI Show Fest. And it's a chance for all the game design students to sort of showcase their work and have real professionals like myself kind of give them feedback and celebrate with them and do what have you. It's been really interesting, though, because one of the things, as part of it, I had to kind of watch videos or play the games if they were in a playable state. Some of it's like a marketing program, some of it's other aspects rather than direct coding. But for those who are directly making games, get to play their game builds and what have you. And one of the things that really reminds me is that we live in amazing times where if you've got, say, a 10, 12-year-old out there, younger, older, any age really, and they're like, I really want to work in video games. When I was heading off to college in the early 90s, in the 1900s when I was going off to college, there really wasn't game design school. There were no game programs. And if there were, they might be technical like C++ coding programs, but they weren't necessarily entire departments and curriculum designed to get you onboarded into working in the games industry. And one of the things that always really strikes me when I am able to do something like this WPI Show Fest is just how much opportunity is actually out there. It's still hard to get into games. It is. But it's not winning the lottery necessarily like maybe it used to be, because there are actual ways to get onboarded for this thing. You may not land a dream job at Epic or Standing Stone Games or whatever on your first gig, but you might have opportunity. You'll at least have the skill set. And you can either go it on your own, indie style, which tons of people do these days, or you'll be able to work your way kind of through the industry sort of hiring and onboarding process. And maybe it's not going to work out for everybody, but it's amazing, because when you think about that these days, if you've got a kid or someone that's like, I want to make video games, my parents would look at something like that and be like, yeah, okay, kid, go, yeah, yeah, let us know how that goes. And now it's like, all right, well, let's look at colleges and see what opportunity might be out there for you. And it's amazing what kind of opportunity there actually is. So I kind of wanted to call that out, because maybe, this time of the year, you're sitting there thinking, well, what am I going to do for my future? What are my kids going to do? I would say don't discourage them from working in games, There's a lot of opportunity out there that is pretty amazing, frankly. And it's really neat to see this sort of thing happen. I mean, it's true, game design developing is hard, long hours, and it can crush you, especially toward launch day. Crunch exists. We are very cognizant about how and when we crunch and what that crunch looks like and how we support people during that time. We're not one of those studios that has this almost like, I guess at its worst, you hear about some studios that perhaps it's almost like a macho thing where it's like, you only worked 80 hours this week? And that does exist, but that doesn't exist really at Standing Stone Games. It's not to say people haven't put in really long hours this week in addition to other weeks. But it's something that we are very careful of, and we treat it like the toxic behavior that, frankly, it actually is. So sometimes it might be necessary, but it better be necessary. Otherwise, why are we making you do it, kind of a thing. But, you know, it is a creative gig, right? And so if you're a software engineer, you probably make a lot more money working on insurance, accounting, medical processing software. You know, if you're a IT guy, you probably make more money outside of games. But you're not making video games. And for a lot of folks like myself and others, it's the making games. It's the being there and being a part of it that really is the important bit. I think I'm going to have to go in on an easier difficulty here. Oh, there we go. That's not very nice. All right. How do I want to do this? What do I want to do? I'm going to go up here real quick. I am going to bring myself up. I'm going to bring Bulwark up. Uh-oh. Huh. Huh. I got a little problem here, don't I? I am unprepared. What am I going to do? I mean, I could probably just sort of wear them down. I'm going to get myself some healing potions, which I should have done earlier. At least get myself some healing potions, because I am just a barbarian. Alright, it was ugly, but I got it done. Alright. Anyone want a legendary wand of blasting? I got a couple. So, I guess I would just say, Johnny, to your question that, or to your kind of statement that, maybe games as a job, makes it, has its downsides. And while that may be true, there is nothing I would rather do than work in video games. I think I've been doing this for 12 years now, and just like everyone, you worry about, well, what does my future hold, and what would I do if? Thankfully, I've been lucky to not have to answer that question, because I don't know what I would do. There's nothing I want to do other than work in video games, and I guess that's why I work here. I'd have to try to figure something out on my own if this didn't work out. So alright, I'm gonna drop this one down to hard then, since Elite was kind of not the greatest. Reaper or bust? Maybe. Not on this character, though. I mean, you just saw me struggle a little bit, in Elite. I think I'm doing Reaper. Although in some ways, depending on the character, right, Reaper 1 can be arguably easier than Elite. But not so much for this character. Oh, I was supposed to freeze someone. What am I doing? Where am I going? What am I doing? Alright. I must get in first. Pick up some ballista parts. This character has been a barbarian for a while. This character is not really on the past life train. I've got a few past lives, but this character is more about having a character on every server that I can play, as much as anything. But I do want him to get a little better. So I don't think I have too much heroic gear on. Yeah, this quest has got humor going on with it nicely. I've always enjoyed this quest too. Alright. You need 4 ballista parts, right? In order to, or do I need to get all? I don't remember how many ballista parts I need in order to fling myself. I mean, there's one way to find out, but... Why, hello. I actually, though, I'm gonna have to. I'm not gonna get through this quest here today because I actually have to bail right away at 5. Because, like I said, I'm going to judge a game student competition here at the Worcester Polytechnical Institute. Technically begins at 5, but my first appearance, as it were, is at 6. So I have to get down there. I don't really have time. I think this fight with Twilight Mother may need to be my end. I wasn't noticing the time. I guess I talk too much. How often do I say that? Every week? I guess I'm not quite sure what's your motivating question for that, Johnny. The debut of, quote, new DLC has no bearing on the hardcore season, so as far as I'm aware, nothing is being changed. Not quite sure what you mean by new DLC either. But if you mean the expansion, no, the expansion's release timing is independent of the next hardcore season. A legendary Sword of Shadow, huh? Yeah. Might be a cool idea. Maybe it would be a bad idea. I don't know. We have so many better weapons these days. Not that I don't love my Sword of Shadow. But do we really want to go back to the days where there's basically one sword in the game? Oh, there we go. Sorry, wolves. I got someplace to be. Boink. No, so I all I can really reveal about the next season of Hardcore is that we'll have a teaser image, potentially something like next week, and we'll have a start date. Otherwise, what the new season is about is something that we intend to keep under wraps, if at all possible, until it is live. So I wouldn't expect a whole lot of preview information about what to expect in the next hardcore season. I think instead you will run the new hardcore season and then be like, what? And that's working as intended, so. I'm pretty close to just getting this thing wrapped up. If I can just make my way over to the fight without too much difficulty, I should be able to get this done in the next couple of minutes, so. That's a lot of minotaurs piling out of the streets. Oh, I have to plant some evidence. All right, well, let's do that. All right, you get to be a plant. There we go. It's interesting that Hestus did not disappear there. We've been trying to track down that bug with Hestus not properly disappearing during this dialogue section. Some kind of trigger that's not triggering correctly. And I'll have to mention that happened on stream here. We're still working on the cause of it. That's a lot of minotaurs. Alright, so now I just need to return to Doris. And then I'm going to wrap up the show. So, thanks so much, everyone, for watching Court of the Rings. Here we go. That's right. On twitch.tv/DDOstream. They keep dragging me back. I don't want to fight you! Alright, there we go. There's Doris. Did I say Court of the Rings? I meant Fridays at 4. Sorry, my brain's a little multitasking. So thank you so much for watching Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DDOstream. I'll be back next Friday with more. We will have had a patch by that point and beyond. So thanks so much, everyone, for being here, and I will talk to you all next week.